Hi everyone! In this video I'm going to talk about the different kinds of laser materials you can buy for your Glowforge other than Proofgrade materials. So I've tried materials from various types of companies. Some I've liked, some I don't like at all. So I'll kind of just go over each one of the companies I've purchased from and a little bit about the pros and cons of them and what my opinion is about them. So first I'll start off with the company that I use most frequently that I really like. They're called Smoky Hill Designs and they're based out of North Carolina. It's a nice small business. And I'll list all of the companies and materials in the description box below so you could see for yourself and decide what you want to buy. So first, Smoky Hill Designs, they have a wide variety of materials. I have a few here that I'll talk about briefly. The one I use the most is probably 1/4 inch Baltic birch plywood. It's this right here, if you could see. I use this a lot for my custom name puzzles that I do, and it's just a really good plywood, really for any project that you want to do, for a thicker plywood that is. The next item that I have from them is clear acrylic, 1/8 inch. You can't really see the clear acrylic right now, but because it's masked already, they mask their acrylics for you. I think most companies actually mask them for shipping purposes, but it comes masked for you already, so you can't really see it right now, but this is what I use a lot for certain things, ornaments including that. Another plywood that I like is called Sapele Plywood, and I use it for ornaments as well and other various projects. This is 1/8 inch that I use, and it's a little bit of a darker plywood, kind of almost like a walnut. I think it's lighter than walnut, but it's a nice dark finish to it. And this is also good for different projects that you could use. The next one that I purchase a lot is 1/8 inch cherry plywood. It's a little bit lighter than the Sapele, but it's a nice cherry 1/8 inch, and these aren't finished. You can actually buy them finished or unfinished. I buy mine unfinished, mostly because they're usually out of stock, the finished ones, but I like to keep mine bare for some projects, and other times I do like to put a finish on them. It kind of just depends what I want. So they are a little bit darker when you do finish them, and they actually look a little bit nicer. So those are the ones that I get from Smoky Hill Designs. I also get 1/8 inch Baltic birch plywood, but I don't have it in stock right now. But it's similar to the 1/4 inch one that I showed you before. So to briefly go over the pros and cons of Smoky Hill Designs. First, the pros, they're inexpensive and they have a wide variety of different options. And most of their materials that I have purchased come very smooth, meaning they're sanded really well. So for the most part, I don't really have to sand them after I cut something. Usually they're smooth enough where I don't have to do that. So that's really nice. Another pro is that they have nice color options. Like I showed you before, the Sapele and the cherry is what I currently have. I've tried walnut and it's really nice. I know they have mahogany and a bunch of other ones. And they also have a lot of pattern plywoods, which I've seen marble and buffalo plaid, just really a bunch of different kinds of designs. And so it's nice to have those options too. And like I said before, you can get them finished or unfinished, which is a nice option for you. If you don't want to finish them yourself, it can get kind of messy. So you can have that option to buy them finished. And another pro from Smoky Hill Designs is that they usually come flat, the plywood that I've gotten, meaning they're not warped usually. A lot of places you can tell that the boards come warped, and that can kind of be a pain because you have to pin it down, and sometimes the cuts won't go through all the way if it's warped. But from Smoky Hill Designs, I've had really good success with them, and most of the time their boards are really flat. And finally, another pro is that they have really fast delivery. So usually I purchase from them in the mornings, and they usually ship that same day. So I think there's a cutoff time for that, but they usually ship that same day or the next business day, and delivery is just a couple days after that. So it's really pretty quick. A couple of cons from them. The settings that they recommend to use on the materials, they really just recommend using Proofgrade settings. So for instance, I think for their Baltic birch plywood, they recommend using settings for basswood plywood from Glowforge. And I've tried that, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So you kind of have to adjust the settings. And I'll have a list of the settings in the description for you on the materials that I use. In case you do buy those, you can try out the settings I use and see if it works for you. Another con from them is they do kind of have high shipping costs, but it's understandable because the wood or materials you buy can be kind of heavy. So, but the materials themselves are pretty inexpensive. And the next one I'll talk about are Proofgrade materials. So I don't buy a ton of Proofgrade materials. I got a bunch of samples when I purchased my Glowforge, and I think they still send you samples if you purchase one. So I'll kind of go over a few of the samples that they sent me and what I liked and don't like about them. First, they sent me a basswood hardwood, 1/8 inch. This is a smaller sample, but it's a lighter color basswood hardwood. They also sent walnut hardwood 1/8 inch, which is this color right here. And it's a pretty color, I like it. They also sent, in this size, they sent medium leather, but I already used that up. But I did purchase some leather from them recently in the 12 by 20 inch. But it's just a natural leather, so if you use leather, you could stain it to whatever color you want to use it for. I haven't worked with a lot of leather, but I'm going to start doing that soon. Another item they sent me in a sample was basswood plywood, 1/8 inch, and this is very similar to the Baltic birch plywood that I use a lot. And they sent me, I think, 1 or 2 sheets of these. They also sent a cherry board about this size, but I already used that up for ornaments, and it was really pretty cherry, and it was finished. I think most of their products come finished. And then finally, they sent a medium draft board, which they sent me about 5 of these. I haven't used any of them yet. I don't really care for the look of them, if you could see. I just don't have any projects in mind to use this for yet, so I haven't tried it out yet. Plus, I've heard it can fill up your filter quickly if you buy a separate filter for your Glowforge. And sometimes I do use my filter, so I haven't tried it out yet just for that reason as well. But those are the materials that they sent me in the sample pack. So whether or not they still do that, or if they send different things, they may do that as well. So I'll go over the pros and cons of Proofgrade materials. So the pros are, it cuts perfectly every single time. You pretty much don't have to worry about that. You don't have to adjust the settings. It's there for you. You just put it in and you click the button basically, and it's good to go. They also have a wide variety of materials. So in addition to these, they have a ton of different options for acrylics, different colors, and they have other hardwoods too, I think, and I think veneers as well. So you have a nice option, a variety of options. Also, they come, I think, finished for the most part. Like I said, at least all the samples they sent me came finished, so you don't have to put a finish on them. The cons of proof grade materials is, in my opinion, is that they're usually out of stock. At least the ones that I like are usually out of stock. And they can be a little bit more expensive than your typical, than other plywoods or hardwoods that you could find from other companies. So for instance, I think basswood plywood from Glowforge, I think it runs about $11 to $15 or something for a 12 by 20 1/8 inch sheet. But when I buy mine from Smoky Hill Designs, which is a similar plywood, the Baltic birch, it's like $5. So it is a fraction of the price elsewhere. So the next thing I'll go on to are two different companies that I've used in the past as well. One is called Woodpeckers and one is called Woodworkers Source. They're very similar, so I'm going to just go over the pros and cons of both of them at the same time. I've only gotten 1/8 inch Baltic birch plywood and 1/4 inch Baltic birch plywood from both of those companies, so that's what I'm explaining to you now. So first off, the pros. Woodpeckers you can actually buy on Amazon, so that's really convenient, especially if you use Amazon a lot and you have the fast shipping. It's just convenient, so you can buy woodpeckers from there. Another pro is that they cut similar to the Smoky Hill Designs materials that I talked about previously. They're very similar to each other. And they are also inexpensive, kind of similar to Smoky Hill Designs. The cons would be they aren't as smooth as Smoky Hill Designs. You really have to sand them really well because they start splintering a lot. So that's why I really like Smoky Hill Designs, because they're really smooth, and like I said, you usually don't have to sand them. Another con to Woodpeckers and Woodworkers Source is a lot of times the materials came warped when I received them, so I would have to really pin everything down, and sometimes it wouldn't cut all the way through, so I didn't know if it was because of the warped materials or what, but that can kind of be a pain. Also a con would be the settings are not equal to proof grade settings. I've tried them just on like the basswood plywood proof grade settings, and it doesn't really work all the time, so you base it off of that. And then one con of Woodworkers Source, they are, I think, located in Arizona. They really had a lengthy shipping time and delivery time, so I purchased mine back in December, and they said there would be a delay because of the shipping carriers issues that they've been having. But it took probably over a month for me to get everything, so I had to buy stuff on Amazon so I could get it right away. So you might have to take that into account if you try from Woodworker Source. And then finally, I'm going to talk about Home Depot. So Home Depot, I've only tried 1/4 inch Baltic birch plywood from them when I was in a pinch and I really needed something quickly. So I'll go over the pros first. It's very convenient to go purchase them, because when I needed them, I just went down the street and purchased what I needed. So it was very convenient. And they're also very inexpensive. And you don't have to pay for shipping, obviously, if you just go down the street to your local Home Depot. But there's much more cons to them than pros. I found that the 1/4 inch Baltic birch did not cut very well. I had to adjust it so many different times, and it just wasted wood and a lot of time, and it wasn't worth it. And the 1/4 inch Baltic birch was a lot thinner than the 1/4 inch that I've gotten from other places. It just looked very thin. It looked darker in color. I just didn't like it overall. And plus, most of the boards I got were kind of warped, like I said before, so it was kind of a pain. So I bought from Home Depot one time, and that was a one-time only thing. I probably won't do it again because I didn't have very good success with it. Home Depot might sell really good materials that I haven't tried out before, but as far as the 1/4 inch Baltic birch, it did not work well for my Glowforge. So that's kind of just an overview of the materials that I've purchased and the experiences that I've had with them. Like I said, Smoky Hill Designs is the one I go to a lot now, that I use pretty much all the time, unless I occasionally get Proofgrade materials, but most of the time I buy Smoky Hill Designs. So I'll put the link down below where you could purchase them too and try them out. And like I said, they have a really good variety that you could choose from as well. So if you haven't bought a Glowforge yet and you're thinking about it, feel free to use my code. You can get up to $500 off your Glowforge if you use my code. Plus, I will be able to get a credit too, which me and my family would really appreciate if you did that. But if you have any questions or have any concerns, feel free to reach out to me. You could email me or message me, whatever you need to do, and I'll try to answer your questions as much as I can. Thank you for watching.